So you have probably heard of this story, although given the increasing frequency at which stories surface of wrongfully deported migrants, you may not have heard of this yet, but he is not a gang member. Outrage as U.S. deports makeup artist to El Salvador prison for crown tattoos. That's right. For as long as anyone can remember, Andre Jose Hernandez Romero was enthralled by the annual Three Kings Day celebrations for which his Venezuelan hometown is famed, joining thousands of fellow Christians on the streets of Capacho to remember how the trio of wise men visited baby Jesus bearing gold, frankincense, and myrrh. At age 7, Andrew became a mini king, as members of the town's youth drama group Los Mini Reyes were known. Later in life, he tattooed 2 crowns on his wrists to memorialize those carnival-like Epiphany commemorations and his Catholic roots. The Latin American tradition appears to have been lost on the U.S. immigration officers who detained Hernandez, a 31-year-old makeup artist, hairdresser, and theater lover, after he crossed the southern border last August to attend a prearranged asylum appointment in San Diego. Hernandez, who is gay, told agents he was fleeing persecution stemming from his sexual orientation and political views. Just weeks earlier, Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro, had unleashed a ferocious crackdown after being accused of stealing the presidential election to extend his 12-year rule. Now, before half the audience has a fit about that, the reason it's important to include that, whether you agree with those statements or not, is the same reason it's important to mention that in the context of so many other of these cases, which are these are a lot of these people, whether they're from Cuba or Venezuela, a lot of these people here seeking asylum and actually getting hearings and actually going through the process. These are largely anti-communist dissidents who have a long history of being welcomed with open arms for obvious reasons by the United States. So whether you love what they're about politically or not, the important point here is that these are people who have most reason to believe they'll be accepted here, being treated in this way. But Hernandez's tattoos were deemed proof he was a member of Venezuela's most notorious gang, the Tren de Aragua, and a security threat to the U.S. Detainee Hernandez sports tattoos, I guess, sports, they quoted that a misspell, sports tattoos crowns that are consistent with those of a Tren de Aragua member, an agent at California's Otay Mesa Detention Center claimed, according to court documents published this week. Those 16 words appeared to have sealed the fate of the young Venezuelan stylist who friends, family, and lawyers say has never committed a crime. And so the tattoos said mom and dad on them. Like, it's just the most fucking insane, ridiculous thing you've ever heard. So much so that Constantine Cassin and Joe Rogan both agree that this is over the line. It's horrific. Joe Rogan reacts to the story of Trump's ICE grabbing innocent people with no criminal record, like a gay makeup artist, and sending him to a hard labor prison in El Salvador. So here they are.
Get made.
Right.
And I think, but that's also when mistakes get made.
Right.
And I think a human being being plucked out of nowhere and ending up in a country he's never been in a maximum security prison with gang members, seems like a bad thing to happen to me.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
I don't think that should be controversial.
No, that's not controversial at all. And this is the thing, measured twice, cut once.
Yeah.
This is kind of crazy that could be possible. That's horrific. And that's bad for the cause. Like, the cause is, let's get the gang members out. Everybody agrees. But let's not innocent gay hairdressers get lumped up with the gangs. And then, like, how long before that guy can get out? Can we figure out how to get him out? Is there any plan in place to alert the authorities that they've made a horrible mistake and correct it?
Well, if you think about it from a government perspective, and this is where I think it gets quite sinister, is once you've done that, the incentive structure is never going to be to admit that and deal with it. The incentive structure is to say nothing, to cover it up, to pretend it didn't happen. Right?
That is horrible.
So someone ends up in a black hole.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I appreciate that, but unfortunately, in the case of this man and in many others, it's too late. It's too late because it was foreseeable that they were going to go as fast as they could with no regard for innocent people who get swept up in this. And what Constantine says there is not only correct, it's been proven. The El Salvadoran government is getting paid to do this. So talk about incentives. There is a reverse incentive for them to correct it. Number one. Number two, the response of J.D. Vance to a very similar story, which we covered on Tuesday's show, where a guy was swept up and sent to CCOT due to an administrative error, a guy who was accused.
Which they admitted, yeah.
Right. A guy who was accused of being a gang member because some guys who he got rounded up with at a Home Depot said he was, and the police, even in the police report, said there's no evidence. J.D. Vance's response when called out for an admitted error was essentially, go get your fucking shine box. He's an illegal who doesn't belong here. Anyway, number three, and this I don't know for sure, but from everything we've been hearing about CCOT, seems pretty likely that they couldn't find these people if they wanted to at this point. You're talking about tens of thousands of people crammed into these pens like chickens. How would they even find this guy if they wanted to? You're talking about tens of thousands of inmates. Like, it doesn't even seem like it would be possible to retrieve him at this point. Now, I don't know that for sure, but everything we're seeing seems very unlikely that they're going to be able to recover these people, and I hope to God that I'm wrong. But
like I say, who's Jose?
Yeah, exactly right. Like, what are you fucking going to say? Like, yeah, how do you even do it with tens of thousands of people there? Exactly. So, you have some empathy there, some rare empathy from Constantine. And, Joe Rogan seems like a decent guy, but obviously has been on the wrong side of this issue for too long, to the point where it's a little late now, but we appreciate
that's why when you get a candidate to sit down with you for pretty much an unlimited interview, maybe ask them some hard questions instead of giving them a foot rub.
Exactly. But, Constantine seems generally to be a pretty terrible guy. Rogan, a not so terrible guy. This guy, though, a really terrible guy, whose response to this story is just stunning beyond what you would expect, even from a douchebag like Jesse Waters. So let's take a look at this.
Again, I don't trust the El Salvadorian government to be making sure that they are not torturing people, that they're vetting them properly. They need to be vetted on this side.
Why do the Democrats always say this could happen?
It did happen.
It did happen, you fucking moron. I forgot about this fucking yap over here. Why are the Democrats talking? Why do you think they're talking about it, idiot? It's a news. It did happen. It did happen. That's what they're talking about.
Democrats always say this could happen.
It did happen. It didn't could
They're
happen.
torturing them?
Did you watch the video?
Torturing.
Yeah. Did you read the Time magazine?
Heads.
Time magazine was there when the gay barber from Venezuela who had a crown tattoo that said "Mom" was being processed coming into the El Salvadorian. Oh, am I boring you again? I'm sorry.
No, but you've been talking about this gay barber from El Salvador with some stupid tattoo for weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks, Jessica.
Come on.
It's just a gay barber.
He's not into you.
He's an innocent guy who got swept up in a deportation, and hopefully we get it figured out and straightened out. But a lot of people in this country, Jessica, get arrested for things that they didn't do, get falsely accused, falsely convicted.
I'm also against racial.
Okay, so
be careful there. You sound like you're about to join BLM there.
Yeah,
Jesse.
I mean,
you're acknowledging that, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, this is why people like this put so much time and energy into spreading anti-populist propaganda, substituting it with right-wing authoritarianism disguised as populism. Because you get a real revolution. They know they're going to CCOT. What I would give to see Pirro in a prison like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Torture? Are they torture? Really? They're torturing them?
Yeah,
what are you talking about what could happen?
Yeah, put her in there for a year and then ask her if she
it.
thinks it's torture.
Yeah, ask her if she thinks it's torture. Exactly. So, Jesse Waters talks about how, some people get swept up in this. It kind of happens all the time. And, what are you going on and on about this gay barber? Well, this report here came out yesterday from NBC News. Government immigration scorecard for deportations relied on tattoos and social posts, court filings show. So let's take a look at some of the methodology that determines whether or not someone is swept up and sent to a torture prison. or not. A document the American Civil Liberties Union filed in federal court Friday shows a copy of an alien enemy validation guide requiring immigration officials to act against Venezuelans over age 14 who are not U.S. citizens or permanent residents. The guide has instructions about how to determine whether a person is removable under the centuries-old Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which President Trump invoked last month to quickly deport over 200 Venezuelan nationals. It includes a type of scorecard of up to 81 points across 20 items and 6 categories. According to the guide, a tally of 8 points or higher, which includes a person's tattoos and social media posts displaying symbols that officials say have been linked to Tren de Aragua, can be grounds for deportation after consultation with a Department of Homeland Security supervisor or legal advisor. The document and 20 others from Tren de Aragua experts, as well as from attorneys and the deported men's relatives, are part of a federal lawsuit in which the ACLU argues that Trump's unprecedented invocation of the Alien Enemies Act is unlawful. The unreliability of the factors on the checklist reinforces why it is essential that these individuals are given due process to contest their inclusion in this unlawful process, Lee Gallant, the lead attorney at the ACLU working on the Alien Enemies Act lawsuit, told NBC News in a statement. Asked whether DHS considered the scorecard method to be an effective one, an agency spokesperson said in an email, DHS has thorough intelligence assessments to determine if an individual is a member of one of these vicious gangs. These terrorists are a threat to national security and the safety of Americans. The premise that these individuals are not gang members is based on faulty assumptions. A Trump administration official also told NBC News the White House has confidence in the ongoing efforts by immigration agents, saying their intelligence assessments go well beyond single tattoos. Well, apparently they don't. Yeah. Apparently they don't, because we've seen people deported for having tattoos. A soccer player with a crown tattoo was deported, despite having hearings on the books. So obviously, tattoos in many cases are the single piece of criteria. Do you see how inhuman these people are? This is something that Elon could have come up with himself. Now, this is not his purview. This is not his jurisdiction, so I'm not saying he did do this, but this is the tech bro mentality at work. Rather than build a case against someone and actually present evidence against someone and take them to court, because that takes a lot of time and it involves balancing our opinions with the opinion of opposing counsel and convincing a judge. That takes a long time. You know what we're going to do instead? Let's come up with a list of criteria, and a streamlined way to do this would be, hey, anyone who checks this, and this box on the list, get rid of them. No due process, no judge, no hearing, no nothing. Let the nerds who believe in due process sort it out, and good luck keeping up with us. That's what this is. This is the move fast, break things ethos applied to immigration. This is why what really turned me hostile to the Trump campaign was when Elon joined it, because at that point it took on a much different character than it had previously. When you start marrying this just sociopathic ethic of just do as much as we want, as fast as we want it, fuck everybody else, fuck the people who get swept up in it. That's how shit like this happens. You got a list, a checklist. That's how you handle deportations, via a checklist. Yes, that's how they don't want to go through due process. That is beneath them. That is behind them. This is the future, baby. And this is their vision of it. And this is how these decisions are being made. And it makes perfect sense that they have some streamlined system like that with very, very few checks on it or checks within it. And cut to story after story after story coming out of innocent people being swept up in this. And the answer from the government is either, well, no, we have more evidence than we say we have, or fuck you at the end of the day. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Also, remember, there is a lot of pressure on these ICE agents to produce deportations.
Right.
You had a few headlines that at this point in Biden's term, he had deported more people You know, Trump, I'm sure he made some phone calls. What is this? What is this? I gave you guys all the powers you needed. Get rid of these people. Got that pressure. You know, I remember outside Penn Station once, I saw a bunch of cops walking around talking about how they were going to go roust somebody because they had to make their numbers, right? Like, hey, let's go look over there. Maybe we can find somebody. That's the position these ICE agents are in. And I'm sorry, no insult to law enforcement, but when they're doing this kind of massive recruitment of ICE agents, they're not bringing their best.
Please clap.